Hey guys, another drink with Paul. A bit of a serious one today. It's one I've been meaning to do for a while, and I finally thought you just need to sit down and do this one because I've been procrastinating on it and it needs to be done. It's to do with quite a dark subject about dealing with grief and dealing with loss. Obviously, mostly if someone's passed away, but it may be a loss of a relationship or grief in a relationship that you haven't let go of a relationship, and this may help. So, obviously, most people know my mum died in 2006, and like anything, you want to keep people close and you want to keep memories close, but it's what memory you have that is important. So what happened was strange. I went on this course, so I was struggling obviously with it for a while, and it was a dark cloud that was sort of over me. And I went on this golf coaching course a couple of years later, and one of the this is why golf is amazing. One of the recommended reads was this NLP book, The Source Book of Magic. Right, it's an unbelievable book. So if I just read a few of the chapters later on, new behavior generator pattern is a chapter, day end review new behavior generator, forgiveness pattern, allergy cure pattern. If you've seen my hay fever video, that probably came from this book too. Grief resolution pattern, pre-grieving pattern, healthy eating pattern, resolving codependence pattern, speaking assertively pattern. So all of a sudden those chapters are making you think, hey, this is probably worth reading. So I got this in how long? My mum died in 2006. So I got this in holy smokes, when did I get this? 2013. So it was 7 years. Jeez, I didn't even realise that. It was 7 years, and I was studying this book, so it was one of the recommended reads. So it's golf's all about how are you seeing shots, how are you thinking about your golf, and can we replace that thought with a positive thought or a better pattern? So it was all sort of. But anyway, so I was studying this book, and bizarrely, 7 years. That's blown my mind a little bit. Chapter 66 is grief resolution pattern, and chapter 67 is pre-grief. So if you're worried that someone's going to be leaving you soon, chapter 67 deals with that. So let me just read you first two paragraphs in this. In this chapter, it's a little bit about being back at school. This I haven't read out loud for a while. Right, so grief resolution pattern, concept. To invest ourselves into someone or something is to give ourselves to the other and to bring the other into ourselves. When we then later lose that person or thing, we experience grief. And well, we should. Grief is the emotion of choice that allows us to register our sadness and sense of loss. It is the emotion that tenderizes our heart, humanizes our perspective, and teaches us in a profound way the wonder and beauty of life itself. Yet sometimes when we lose someone or something very special to us, we get caught up in the excessive grieving or even grieving that's unnecessary. At such time, we not only register the loss and grieve the meaning of what the loss of a loved one, a job, a childhood, etc. signifies to us, but we continue to do so in such a way that we begin living in a state of sadness, depression, or hopelessness. When that happens, we become less and less able to get on with life. So wow, that's the first two paragraphs of that. It's only 3 or 4 pages, so it'll go into it more in depth. I've actually got on my blog this whole chapter written out, which might get me in trouble, but I don't care. I think people need to. I've shared it before, and I think people need to. I've never actually read it out. So, in essence, what NLP does is it says, let's look at what you're thinking, and let's identify a better way of thinking, and then are we happy within yourself to flip the emotion, right? And so stick with me. It's not, if you've never done or ever heard NLP stuff, I'm still not fully versed in it, but there's like I say, it cured my hay fever. So the pattern, I'm going to jump a little bit because I don't want to let this video last forever. But it's all written down. I've got it all written down for you, and I'm going to share this book with you. So the pattern, identifying the grief representation. So as you think about someone or something you have lost or a potential loss, notice how you represent that person or thing. What is it like? How do you represent it? Do you experience the loved one there, yet not really there? Or do you see them yet or only vaguely? In substantial way. Because grief usually involves an unfinished or unreal representation, you will find the representation to have characteristics of not being quite real. Identify the cinematic features or submodalities that you associate with a sense of loss. Common features include seeing a person as flat, transparent, distant, floating off the ground, unclear. So this is how do you, when you bring that memory back, how do you see it in your mind? Is it a movie? Is it a still picture? Is it in black and white? Is it close? Is it far away? Is it grayed out? Is it weird or distant to you? So you'll be able to see how you represent that person when you bring that person to mind, right? I'm going to read the next chapter and then I'm going to tell you exactly what I was doing. Identify your grief representation that causes you to feel stuck. Do you feel stuck in grief, or do you know this? What is there about your representation that gives you the sense of being stuck? As you notice the representations of the grief in which you feel stuck, what are they like? One man said, I see her in a small still picture. It looks very dark and depressing. I don't want to look at it. Why not? What is that about? Because that was the last time I saw her, the day we broke up. The day we broke up. The content here controlled is representations, of course. If we recall bad times with a loved one rather than good times, we will increase our sense of pain. So, this will be tough. It's not tough now. When I thought about my mum, I thought I'd come out of a room, and I live now with my dad in the house that my dad built in 1980. Obviously lived all my childhood in this house pretty much. And when I thought about it, I felt like a picture, like here. I don't know if you can see, you probably can. Like here, and it was a face, but it was a grey face. It was still. It was a grey picture, and it was kind of like, she's watching over me, but she was like watching over me there. So it's kind of like a little bit like, I want to look at it, but it's so close. And it's black and white. And it's not happy. And so, if I think about it, because that was the last time I saw her the day we broke up. Jeez. If I think now back to what that is, and I couldn't handle it then, that is, if that's the last time I saw her, if that's what I'm thinking now, then my dad decided he wanted my dad built this house, but my dad decided he wanted the last thing that she saw before they closed the coffin was to be this house, right? So I had grandparents died before, and I didn't want to see the body because it sort of like traumatized me a bit. I guess traumatized is the right word. It made me think that was what I remembered, and that's true, isn't it now? So what happened? They brought the coffin into the room next door, and we had patio doors then, and they put the coffin, and then there was a cream carpet still there. So they put a plastic mat under the carpet, right? And they didn't flatten it out. Under one of the legs of the coffin, there was the plastic roll had a big kink in it. So my dad says, Paul, we got to go. We got to flatten the carpet. And I was like, geez, I don't want to go in there. I know she's in there, and I don't want to. So my dad's like, we've got to do it. We've got to do it. So I can't remember who lifted the coffin and who pulled the legs up and flattened I can't remember who did it that way. But I then I saw my mum, and she was there, and I'm now glad that I did, because she looked a lot better than I thought she would. She looked at peace, and she looked. I'm not saying she looked good, but she looked a lot better because she'd been ill. So it was hard to think that she looked a lot better than when last time when we were there when she died. So now I understand that was the last time that I remember her. So what I was remembering all this time was that. Jesus, and that's brutal, isn't it? I mean, that's brutal for anybody. So it gets lighter from here on in, I promise you. So now the next section says identify a special memory. As you now think back to a time when you had some special memories associated with this person, what did you experience that was more valuable and very important? What memories? How were they valuable to you? Which of these do you wish to keep? What do you especially appreciate? So when I thought back, well, she used to come and visit me on holiday when I was in Bermuda. She used to come on holiday and we'd chill out and drink and have a laugh. And I remember in the kitchen, telling me I was a good person. I remember sitting here before, like I used to have. I I had a girlfriend down. We used to live in Loughborough, and I used to come up to go out with my mates. And an hour before going out, we'd sit with my mum. We'd not seen each other for a couple of weeks, and we'd just chat, and that was nice. So I remember these things, right? So those were special memories. But what this is saying is, you don't remember in those special memories enough. You remember the darker memory, and that's the bigger implant. So this is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets lighter and more. Light is the right word. Identify finished grief as a resource experience. Have you ever lost someone or something that once caused you grief, but that you are now comfortable with? As you now think back to that person who is no longer a part of your life, and yet when you recall him or her, you do so feeling good and enriched. You know that your thoughts provide you with a sense of that person's presence and value. So you notice how you represent and think of that person. What are the modalities and the cinematic features? What are the meanings that you give to these representations to create the good feelings, right? So this was saying, is the people that you've lost, that you've come to terms with, that you're happy with, and think about those people. So obviously I have grandparents who died of old age. They didn't die young like my mum did, like quick. They died of old age and they ran their course, if that sounds. They ran their life, they got their full life. So I started thinking about my grandparents, and it was unbelievable, the difference. It was, I couldn't, so the garden, what I thought was it was the garden, but it was in my mind, it was a longer garden. It was really colourful, and it was a movie. So my mum was black and white, and a still picture. This was a garden that it went really long, and there was trees at the back. So it was just a massive garden. There was a greenhouse on the left, and my grandparents were there, and they were pottering about and having a laugh in the garden. They were just having fun. I remembered them, right? How we used to hang out at their houses. We'd go in the garden, play football and stuff. So, but this was really colourful and I was like, geez, that's so. And the dog was there, right? The dog, the childhood dog, Patsy. Yes, our dog was called Patsy. The kennel named it Patsy, and we decided to keep the name. I never know why. But anyway, Patsy was there, little King Charles. But as a young dog, that was interesting. Not as the old dog that died, as a little bit older than a puppy running around. I was like, wow, this is so interesting. And then so that was that was a happy memory. It was a happy thought to think of them, but then to think of my mum was like this. Again, like that, right? So I think you're getting now where we're going. Would you have any objection to developing a more resourceful way to think about the person you have lost so that you could feel good about him or her? Does any part of you object to keeping the good feelings that you receive from this person and letting them enrich your life? So we're not talking about forgetting them or just saying go over there, and we're saying you're going to keep the memories, you're going to keep everything, right? Do you have full permission to release the grief and welcome in the good feelings? I can't exactly remember fully what the definitive thing of this is, but you basically ask your body, am I happy to let my mum or my feelings change? Am I happy? Is there something stopping me in my body to want to think of my mum out there with them? Knowing that, to release it but not forget. And nothing in my body said, no, I don't want, I wanted to stay here. I wanted to stay here. So nothing said that, right? So then it goes into, there's 3 or 4 more points on how to release it. So effectively what I then said was, well, okay, Mum, it's okay. It's okay, you can go into the garden, go and have some fun. And it was unbelievable to be able to release the thought. So it does go into, I'm going to share this whole thing for you. I'll put a link below. So it goes into access value experience. For a moment, let you recall one of the most special times you had, see the full life size. When you think of this person the same way you thought about your friend that's gone, and even though you have lost this person, you can still have a good feelings. Can you not? Good. Just welcoming these feelings in the moment. And now to preserve the benefits of this. So it goes into a bit deeper. You need to really read this. I don't want to skip it, but it says check the state and check and test. So then what you do is you basically can say, you can go now. It's okay, Mum, I've got this. Go into the garden. Go and have some fun. I'm fine. So then his final part is saying, break state. So snap out of it all. snap out and think about something else. Think about Sheffield United losing at QPR last night. And come back, break state. Now think of that person, notice what you think and feel. So now when I think of my mum, now I'm thinking of those special memories. I'm thinking of her, when I think of where she's at now, I'm thinking in the garden, I'm thinking of the, it's winter, it's not too great today, but I'm thinking of this summery garden. I'm thinking that I don't think, and it was like that. It was literally, this was 7 years. 7 years of this to next moment to go, I understand now, just let them go. Remember the good times. Remember everything great. You don't need the negativity. You don't need the bad part. And then release them from yourself into that. This is what worked for me, right? So I had to get on with it. You can probably tell why I had to share it. The Source Book of Magic by Michael Hall, L. Dot. I don't know why it's L. Dot. Michael Hall, PhD. NLP stuff. I don't fully understand NLP. I do get it. If you've seen my hay fever video, it sorted my hay fever out too. I haven't had hay fever for 4 years. I haven't had hay fever since 2013, so this book must have been it, because that's exactly when I got this book. So there's good things that you pick out. You decide what you think. And like I say, the next chapter's pre-grieving. So if you feel like you're coming to the end of a relationship, or you've got somebody who's going to be passing away soon, you can start to work on that thought before it comes. You can take control of how to think about it. So it works on, I presume it works on relationships too. I never had any relationships that I had a problem with that I had to deal with. But if you've got somebody you can't let go and you can't seem to get over, then this, as I said, I'll share a link with this on my website where I've typed out all this, exactly what it says. So, yes, Drink with Paul, a little bit deep today. Not a little bit, a lot deep. But this is why I want to go with this video, my YouTube, my blog now. This is Happy Me. So, I don't need to prove that I'm drinking coffee. I'm drinking coffee. This is obviously Happy Me. This is Happy Me. This is not me thinking dressed up for a video. I wear this stuff all the time. But it's important, and it's important to me that I don't want people to be stuck. I don't want people to be struggling. I want you to get past whatever you need to get past and get moving to your happy me. And this is why these things are important, because I've been through that. Like I said, that was 7 years. I didn't realize it was 7 years. It felt like 2. But in that 7 years, there was some dark days. And this didn't cure it, but it started to release. It started to release stuff. And as I say, golf. It all came from golf, which is... That's why I blame golf for my happiness. And I need to get people golfing. I need to get them out there with me so I can just talk them through things. I think that's where I need to go with this. But you would never think the Source Book of Magic would be a golf recommended reading for a golf coaching course. So I hope it helps. I feel your pain if you're struggling. Doesn't mean I know what to say to you or help you in person, but if you've watched this to this part, then I hope you'll take on board and go read the chapter in full. Check the link below, and I'll see you all soon. Have a great week. The next one's going to be fun, but I hope this one helps. Ciao.